Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, National Action Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
It's Friday, January 23rd. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. And I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours is Exhale Friday. Exhale Friday is when we open up the phones and let you talk about whatever is on your mind, whatever is in your heart. You may have tried to get to a phone and couldn't get through this week, or you may not have been able to, on your job, sneak a message on the message board. Well, get it out today. Don't go in the weekend holding it back. Get it out, get it out, get it out. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net and send a message like Derek Trapp says, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al," on the message board. I see you, Derek. Georgia Daniel says, "Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. These are trying times. Keep the faith, keep it real," in Toledo, Ohio. She's in Toledo, Ohio. And it is trying times. I mean, a lot happened this week. Yesterday, Jack Smith, the special counsel that indicted Donald Trump for his involvement in the January 6th, trying to interfere with an election. He did a public testimony in Congress. And from most, I saw some of it, and most reviews I've seen and heard said the Republicans really didn't lay a glove on him, and that he really was able to bring back a lot of issues to the American public of how President Donald Trump was directly involved in trying to conspire to undermine the election and to encourage what happened at the Capitol January 6th. We could talk about that. I thought it was interesting on two levels. One, again, to bring the evidence against Trump to the public. And really none of the Republicans on the committee could really blow him up or penetrate his testimony. I also think it is interesting that Trump is allowing all this to happen. Any and everything. Bring back Jack Smith. Bring back, we want tariffs on different countries. Bring back, we want to take Greenland. Everything but the Epstein files. Everything but the Epstein files. If they can go get Jack Smith on why his indictment was canceled or overturned a couple of years ago, why they are holding the Clintons. They want to hold them in contempt of Congress. But they are like over a month, well over a month, that the Congress said, give us all the files on Epstein. And that's not even an issue. And I'm not being cynical, I'm being realistic. Knowing how Trump operates, maybe he's doing all of that to distract from the files. Now, why? I don't know. Maybe it's somebody important to him in the files, maybe some stuff he don't want out. But there seems to be a concerted effort on his part to keep the files, the majority of the files coming out. The few they put out clearly has already shown Trump had a better and closer relationship with Epstein than what was shown. So, all right, we're dealing with the Jack Smith testimony. I'd love to hear from some of you on that. Also looking at today, faith leaders are marching in Minneapolis after they have walked one man out in his underwear, took another person out, 5-year-old kid. They have flooded the area. Now and there's faith leaders there, as I said today. And then we see they're now going into Maine. Portland, Maine is being targeted and inundated. Then we see that the health care that is expired as of December 31st, now the Democrats pressing for them to come forward. Republicans are coming through with a weak bill. And some of the Republicans are saying we need to pass the Democratic bill. Our constituents are hurting. And we can't hold it back anymore. See, some of these Republicans have to run for re-election this year. And they can't look at this as objectively as some that are not facing election, or as objectively as Trump, who's never going to be on the ballot again, because no matter what he say, he will not be able to run for a third term. Also, I saw this early this morning that slavery exhibits have been stripped from the Philadelphia historical site following the executive order by Donald Trump. They've literally gone in and removed by federal order informational panels highlighting slavery and the lives of enslaved people. And they were taken from the president's house site in Old City, Philadelphia, at the directives of Donald Trump. Now you gotta ask yourself, how can you tell American history, talk about historical site, and not tell the story of slavery, and not tell how this country got wealthy because of free labor for 246 years? And you have to ask yourself, one or two of you Trump supporters that listen to us, why would he want to hide what everybody knows about slavery? Why would he want to hide what is a historic fact? And if you look at his present policies in DEI, in the Affordable Care Act, change the voting protection laws, change the voting districts, you'd have to say, well, he is just anti anything that addresses racial inequality and that addresses racial exploitation. You just got to deal with reality. You can tell yourself what you want, or you can call it what you're looking at. I'm of the school, call it like you see it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Call it like you see it. So let's talk about all that. We're going to exhale all the next 3 hours. It is important you don't go in the weekend holding anything back. You have an opportunity to be heard nationwide, and I'm looking for you, you, and you. I'm reading some of the James Mitchell is saying, tell it, Reverend Al. I want you to keep trying to tell it. And then you got Dorothy Vaughan saying, I'm trying to figure out how can a president stand by and let nurses protest that can't afford to get sick on their own job because of coverage and co-pays. I agree with you. That's why, as busy as we was Monday on King Day, I started with doing 2 hours on Morning Joe, then went on from there and did National Action Network's Breakfast right there in Washington, D.C. Then I went from there and flew right back to Harlem and did our policy forum with the governor, the mayor, the attorney general, everybody. And I still, after all of that, 2 cities, 2 big events, I went down and marched, joined the nurses, because I think it is egregious what they are doing. All right, let's get ready to take a break. I'm going to take a break and open up the phones. It's Exhale Friday. Don't bark at your television set. Don't distract yourself with a lot of self-talk. Call up and let the nation hear your view, your thoughts, your opinion. They have value to me. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are, why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke. Thank you. Let me say I wanted to come today on Martin Luther King Day. Because Martin Luther King died in Memphis fighting for wages for garbage workers. And I believe he would want those of us that come in his tradition to be standing with nurses and standing with those that should be getting wages for saving the lives and caring for people that the private hospitals and other hospitals seem not to care about. How can you spend King Day and turn your back on people that are working and not insured right and not given the right wages and not given the right respect when they're taking care of our afflicted, our ill, our infirm? In the name of Martin Luther King, I join the nurses in demanding justice for the nurses. This is not only a labor issue, this is a civil rights issue. This is a human rights issue. It's an issue that black and white, Latino, Asian, all can stand together. Because those that want to make profits out of people's illness, rather than pay for those that care for them, that stand for them, that are there when their families are not there in some cases. So we had to come on King Day. Many of the dignitaries came to the House of Justice, but I left to come and stand here with them to let them know that Martin Luther King Day is a day to stand up for those that are standing in the cold, but they never left the patients in the cold. No justice. No justice. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Sharpton. Thank you.
But Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and it is Exhale Friday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart, 1-877-532-5797. And let me say by way of announcements, you're not going to want to miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday. I'm having on this weekend. I'm going to deal with all of these issues. I'm going to certainly deal with what's going on with the whole question of ICE that is now going into Oregon, that is still heavy-handed in Minnesota and threatening other places. I'm going to have a couple of members of Congress to deal with that. I'm going to deal with the traumatization of students from the largest labor union leader in the country, Sister Becky Pringle. I'm going to have her on. I'm going to talk about of course, the testimony of Jack Smith and what it means. And Sunday, I'm going to have the Mayor of Jackson, Mississippi on, and Congress people from Minnesota. You're not going to want to miss this weekend. 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC, both Saturday and Sunday, 2 different live shows. I'll be there. Even though they're threatening a big storm, I will be live on the studio. If I got to do it from home, I'll do it. But I think I'll be right there in the studio. Let me also remind you that are in the New York area, meet me or beat me. If you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me in the morning at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street, Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., or you can watch it live on Impact Television, or you can watch it at www.nationalactionnetwork.net live stream, or you can watch it on YouTube. You got 3 ways you can watch Saturday Rally, 9 to 11 Eastern Time in the morning. And I'm getting a lot of feedback, a lot of people calling in or going online and registering in advance for the National Action Network National Convention, April the 8th through the 11th, here in New York at the New York Sheraton at Times Square. All of our sessions free. I'm booking the top names. People that have been to our convention know I do not get the A list in each area, whether it's academics, economic development, business development, the Black church, youth activism, politics, and certainly with the midterm elections, Hakeem and others will be there. We award Black women, our big Keepers of the Dream dinner. All of it, you need to register now. I haven't put out the names yet that have confirmed, but we are in the hundreds, well, almost 2,000 already. Now, why register? It's free, Rev Mal. Why I got to register? Because when we fill up a room, we can only go by the list to say, we got to make room for this person. If you're not on the list, you will not be given priority. And having a convention like this free and we had about 10,000 people come through last year. Have a convention like this free, and you are too lazy to call up or go online and register, you ought to be standing in the hall. I mean, you can't be that lazy. So make sure you do that. Let me say that one of the things we're conscious of is a lot of young people coming this year. And we have had the last 2 weeks the college tour that has gone out, the HBCU tour. And I had Reverend Cassius Rudolph, who has headed this tour up on before we started. And we did last week, we started in Philadelphia with a community rally, then did the kickoff at Lincoln University. I was at both. And then they went on into Alabama this week without me. And Reverend Rudolph, tell us how it went, where you all went, and where y'all going next.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much again, Reverend Sharpton, for this opportunity.
Wait a minute, I don't hear you.
You got to come up to the mic.
All right, go ahead.
Yes,
you got to
sir. Thank you
talk
so
into
much
the mic.
for
You're
this
not at your
opportunity.
pulpit on Sunday morning. You got to talk into the mic.
Thank you so much again for this opportunity. But we are excited. Like Rev said, we kicked off in the Philly area at Lincoln University of PA and had a wonderful time. Reverend Sharpton was the convocation speaker. And the night before that, our staff on the tour did a civic engagement training for over 60 student leaders there. And so this week, we have just gotten back from the great state of Alabama. We were down in Birmingham, Alabama at Mouse College with over 200 students there listening to our staff talking about voter education, voter mobilization, and activation, and giving the Gen Z generation the tools they need to fight the fight of this generation. And we went from Mouse College all the way down to Montgomery. We stopped at Hutchinson Baptist Church with community partners there and people from the congregation and students from the area. Had a great time there. A lot of informative questions were answered and a good time on the road. And then we went down the road to Tuskegee University with Dean Cecil Duffy, and we met with students there in the historic University Chapel where Dr. King once spoke, and riots happened on that campus in the late 60s, and they built that chapel in honor of King. So we've been on the movement trail. We've been having a great time. Next week, we will be in the Baltimore, D.C. area. Next Thursday, we will be at Morgan State University for our civic engagement training with their students and student leaders. And then on Friday morning, we'll be at the University of the District of Columbia. And then that evening, we'll be at the Mecca, Howard University. So we're excited about these engagements. You can follow us on National Action Network's Facebook, Instagram. So we're looking forward to doing this.
Now, on this tour, part of your team, most of our radio audience knows my daughter Dominique, but my youngest daughter, Ashley, who is founder of the Huddle Youth Department here in New York, is on this tour, did so far all of this tour, Alabama and Pennsylvania. And I have her here in the office. Ashley, what are the students saying as you and Reverend Rudolph engaged them with the rest of the team? What are you getting back from students? First of all, do students know about what NAN is, but and what do they feel about what's going on in the country today?
Well, the students are excited. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from Lincoln to Miles to Tuskegee. A lot of them know about NAN, some of them didn't. So it was good to inform them about National Action Network and what we do. A lot of them are engaged in social justice work. We asked them, have they been a part of protests? Have they been a part of rallies? Usually half of the room raises their hands. But they were interested. They asked questions about NAN. They wanted to know more. Of course, everyone knew you. A lot of them came out to see you. So that was refreshing. They had a lot of questions.
So they knew me, but they didn't know names.
Yeah, some of them.
Which
yes.
is why it's good y'all are going out there without me, because we want the organization to be as well known as I am.
Exactly right. And a lot of them are interested in starting chapters. A lot of them are interested in coming to the convention, the national convention in April. And we're definitely following up. So that's part of the Ascend Tour, and that was part of the purpose of it. It was very good though, that most of the rooms that we entered with the students, all of them were registered to vote. I don't think any of the rooms we had anybody who wasn't registered. So that's basically great as far as the civic engagement part of the tour.
And what I've been observing, Reverend Rudolph, on the photos that y'all have posted on National Action Network and on our other social media pages, and I've posted some on my personal page, is that the rooms have been crowded. Young people are coming out. This whole thing about youth don't want to be involved, y'all are disproving that. And tell me how the faith communities are reacting. Are you hearing anything about the churches? Wait a minute, let's take the break. I'll come back. I want to know, you hear anything from the churches in these areas, and whether or not these young people are church-based? Because I'm hearing that there's a myth that young folks don't go to church. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone. You reminded us that change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, as long as we don't give away our power. I also want to recognize my friends, Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, who continue to be such an important part of this movement. Finally, I want to congratulate another great friend, Eric Holder, on this well-deserved honor. Eric was obviously an outstanding Attorney General, and after the career he's had, he could have easily decided to ride off into the sunset. Sometimes I think that his wife Sharon wishes he had, but that's not who Eric is. Instead, over the last decade, he's built the National Democratic Redistricting Committee into a leading force in the fight against gerrymandering. And thanks to them, we've been able to push back some of the worst attempts to undermine our elections. It speaks to Eric's love of country, but also his recognition of how important this work is. He understands that our democracy isn't self-executing. We have to fight for it each and every day. And that's going to be especially true as we head into the midterms later this year. So, thanks to Eric and his team for doing everything they can to put our elections on a level playing field. And thanks to all of you for helping people recognize their own power and put it to good use. Take care, everybody, and God bless.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement. In 1929, a child was born who would one day awaken the conscience of a nation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did not inherit a world ready for justice. He inherited a world resistant to it. Yet through faith and fearless leadership, he transformed struggle into strength and vision into movement.
Yes, we're on the move, and no wave of racism can stop us. Yes, sir. The burning of our churches will not deter us. Yes, sir. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us. Yes, sir. The beating and killing of our clergymen and young people will not divert us. Yes, sir. The wanton release of their known murderers will not discourage us. We're on the move now. Yes, sir. Like an idea whose time has come. Yes, sir. Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us. Yes, sir. We are moving to the land of freedom. Yes, sir.
His dream was never meant to live in history books. It was meant to live through us. And today, that vision still lives. It lives through leadership that refuses to be silent, and through those entrusted with carrying the legacy forward through the moral leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton and the continued stewardship of Martin Luther King III, ensuring that Dr. King's dream remains a mandate, not a memory. Through National Action Network, that vision remains active, organizing in the streets, advocating in the halls of power, and confronting injustice wherever it exists. Last year, on Dr. King's Day, we stood together and made a vow to keep alive everything Dr. King stood for, not just in word, but in action. We marched, we gathered, and we recommitted ourselves to the work. Since then, the movement has not paused from the National Action Network convention, where leaders came together to organize and build power, to the Keepers of the Dream Gala, an event established in the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to honor those who actively protect, advance, and live out his vision of justice, equality, and service. It is especially meaningful to remember that Mrs. Coretta Scott King was honored at the very first Keepers of the Dream Gala.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
And she did more than honor the dream she protected. At the 2000 March on Washington, Mrs. Coretta Scott King charged Martin Luther King III and Reverend Al Sharpton with the responsibility of carrying forward Dr. King's vision, ensuring that the movement would remain alive, relevant, and unafraid.
And to see them today here, it warms my heart, because indeed the future of our leadership is in good hands.
532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I've been talking the last segment with Ashley Sharpton, my youngest daughter, who heads Nan Huddle, and the Reverend Cassius Rudolph, who has headed this tour of HBCU, a tour for National Action Network, and they are getting ready to go to their third city. I did the first with them, and we'll catch up with them down the road. Let me ask you, Reverend Rudolph, I heard Ashley say that she was happy that every one of the students, and y'all had big turnouts, were registered to vote already. They just needed to be more oriented toward what we were doing in Nan. They knew my name, but not Nan, and a lot of them want to be involved. Many of them come to the convention. Talk to me about what the students say about their church community, because we're hearing a lot of young people don't go to church, and I'm starting to hear that they do.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree, and I thank you, Ashley, for bringing it up. So based on our tour engagement, what we are seeing, Gen Zs are active in social issues, and they are active in the faith, but they just engage differently than the previous generation. And this is what we're seeing. You know, Gen Z students, they are deeply aware of issues like voting rights, policy, mental health, student debt, etc. But when it comes to faith, they have a strong belief in faith. It girds them, it's their foundation, and that's what's helping them engage us when we come with questions and with topics about the civil rights movement and how they can play their role today. So they're very in tune with the church and learning more about the movement.
And Ashley, I think they also, one of the things I've gotten, and I do a lot of colleges every year, and I've even gotten it during the first leg of this tour, is that young people are more realistic than a lot of us. You get a lot of old heads, over 60, my age group, and they stuck in, their dogmas. And these young people are saying, I want to see certain things done, but I want a practical way of doing it. I'll give you an example. Since I was in my teens, we've been involved with the reparations movement, started with Queen Mother Moore and in Harlem, who used to speak, as you remember when you was a little girl, Queen Mother Moore come by National Action Network Saturday rallies. Dr. Ben was there every week until we named it a Dr. Ben's chair. But young people say to me, but how are we going to get reparations if we don't engage in the making the Congress and others pay for? Who's going to pay the reparations? We can't pay ourselves. Talk about how young people's inquiries take all of the old grudges and, oh, I heard this about you and all that. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear what's going to happen for real.
Well, you hit it right on the head. They definitely didn't bring up any of the nuances that we sometimes hear in our silos, but they were interested in basically how to engage. They wanted to know certain steps, particularly or specifically about how to advocate on their campuses or when they go back home. They wanted to know about resources. They wanted to know about what issues specifically we can help them with. As far as the National Action Network and the Ascend Tour. It really wasn't anything petty. It really wasn't anything divisive. It was straight on. They were energetic. They were excited. They were positive. And they were very intelligent. It was very, very enlightening on both sides, not just for them, but for us to engage with them because we learned as we were teaching them. And I just feel like the future is definitely brighter. And it's something to look forward to because they seem to have their heads wrapped on tight and they're not dissuade or confused as the theme for convention is straighten out tricks in 2026. They're not confused or tricked. They're ready to take on whatever is basically in their way as you were and as you taught us to be. So that basically was very interesting. And they knew a lot. They knew a lot about the history of their schools. Because the schools that we went to are based on a lot of historic figures of their own. We were in the MLK Hall in Tuskegee. Mm-hmm. We were in places where Booker T. Washington and people of the such were basically on those campuses. So they were informed. The Tuskegee Airmen, they knew about that. We did a little a trivia about Black history, and they were everybody was like fighting to answer the questions. So it was very interesting. Like I said, when I talked about Jesse Jackson, when I referenced Jesse Jackson, when I referenced you, they didn't ask who that is. They knew exactly who we were talking about, and they were definitely well informed. So that was exciting.
You know, what was interesting to me when I went to Tuskegee to speak a few years ago, you almost feel like you're sleeping in history. I stayed on campus, and George Washington Carver and his experiment on the peanut was done right there. This is living history. And the other thing that I find, you know, all of our grudges, when I was growing up in New York, in Brooklyn, you would Malcolm or Martin, and Malcolm was strong in this city, and I was young boy preacher, so I was in Operation Breadbasket under Jesse, and was with Martin. But as you grew older, Martin and Malcolm got along, and as you know, Ashley, because Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's widow, is your godmother and Dominique's godmother, even though we come out the King movement. And Coretta and Betty were very close. And you get these people, these old grudges that don't know what they talking about. And but they, they just run them out. Don't know, I'm with this, I'm with that, this and that. And that one of the things that I really like, Cash, is the purity of these young people. I remember when Ferguson happened, Michael Brown was killed by police, and the grandfather called me and the mother and asked me to come in, and I went in, and I met with some of the young people who had been burning up some of the stores, talked about the strategy of how we should do this, and then some of the old guys that had been in the street all their life, never did nothing but be in the street and talk a lot of trash. Ramel, you ain't our leader. I said, are you busy tomorrow morning? He said, what do you mean? I said, I want to have a press conference 10 o'clock tomorrow morning with you. Would you be there? Press conference about what? I said, because I want you to tell everybody that I'm not your leader. I don't want nobody to think somebody as ignorant and uninvolved as you are is following me. You act like we all want everybody to follow us. I want people with me that agree with me and my strategy. And if they want to be with somebody else in that strategy and we can work together, fine. Why do you flatter yourself thinking everybody wants to be with everybody? Nobody. Everybody didn't follow Dr. King. We had Dr. King, we had Malcolm X, we had Thurgood Marshall, we had Rosa Parks, we had Roy Wilkins, we had Whitney Young, we had A. Philip Randolph, we had Adam Clayton Powell, all at the same time. All of them was in the 60s. But when you hear somebody talk like it's one, I'm with one or I'm not with that one, you know you're hearing from ignorance. That's why it's important we plant these seeds with young people so they can choose which way. There's more than one road, one path to get to where we're trying to go. Let me ask you this, Ashley. In terms of, and many of them will come to the convention, many of them are also in an age where they are used to the fact he had a black president. They were kids when he was president. And they grew up used to that and used to a black vice president. So many of them are business oriented. Talk about how a lot of them are concerned about how they can make a living and how they can build businesses.
For sure. We mentioned that we would possibly have a job fair at the convention, and their eyes lit up.
Right.
A lot of them want and need proper resources in order to proceed. Even though a lot of people go to college, there's so many people who are college graduates who do not have jobs, and we don't want that to be our young people. So they definitely are interested in our resources and basically in whatever we have to offer as far as getting jobs. But I do want to go back to what you just said, if I may.
Yeah.
There was one pushback at Lincoln. There was a young brother. He stood up and he was talking about basically what happens when some civil rights organizations or some leaders become a part of the establishment. And Dr. Gabby Wilkes, who's one of our facilitators, talked about John Lewis and Stokely Carmichael, and talked about how they took different paths. But in order for John Lewis to make change, he had to become a part of the system. He had to become a congressman, and he made further change than Stokely Carmichael.
And both of them were leaders of SNCC.
Yes.
One behind the other. Go ahead.
That's right. So he continued to push back. So when I got my chance to speak, I definitely reminded him we were at an institution, an established institution. A lot of us are members of the Divine Nine. I don't think he was Greek, but a lot of students were alphas in the room. Those are established groups, organizations, and he didn't say anything. He kind of like smirked. So it's like you can't pick and choose what you feel like is establishment and what is not. Also, you reminded me, and I thought of that as well. Young people, yes, they have energy. I work with Huddle. We love young people. We love new ideas, but at the same time, they can also be used by agents, by outsiders to basically disrupt things. So they may not trust us, but we also have to trust them. There's an exchange there. In order to go forward, we have to create some kind of unity, some kind of understanding, and some type of bond. And that comes from communication and having open discussions like that. So he definitely enjoyed the conversation that we responded to him and did not duck his question. He even came the next day to talk to you. He wanted a picture with you, and basically was like, yeah, I had to make sure that I came to see Reverend Al. I would love to talk to him. I would love to come to convention. So now he's looking forward to coming to the convention.
Great.
So we can't duck from those conversations at all, but he definitely tried it.
No, and I understand that because I was a young person. I used to challenge the older, but you will find out who is real or who's just running around running their mouth by if you engage in dialogue. Now, can we find common ground and get something done, even if we don't agree on everything? So that becomes important, and I think that is why this tour is very important. Y'all stay with me. I'm going to open the phones and let some of the people around the country talk to all three of us. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Rudolph's with us. And Ashley Sharpton. Be right back. 1-877-532-5797.
The stories affecting you.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge, and we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI, we supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopping. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continued DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this agreement. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to pay for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year. In 2025, it needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you, we need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused.
Oh, Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Nah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go.
commitment of National Action Network to always in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's Exhale Friday, whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart. And I'm here at National Action Network corporate headquarters with Ashley Sharpton, my youngest daughter who heads Huddle. They're on that tour together. Several of y'all on the tour, and Minister Reverend Cassius Rudolph, and it's about 4 or 5 recruiting and doing sessions. I'm going to do about 4 or 5 of the cities. Ashley, let's take a couple of calls. Let's kick off. We love when we kick off the week at the beginning and close it at the week at the end with my dear friend, my buddy, for real, the beloved Miss Eunice in Chicago. Miss Eunice, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Rev, to you and your guest and one who happens to be your daughter.
Right.
And Reverend, I'm a 92 and a half senior, and it's unbelievable what I'm seeing in today's world. We have been through so much, and they're trying to take us backwards. And I must admit, I shed anger tears on yesterday listening to the hearing that those lying, immoral representative trying to defend the biggest liar of all, 47. He's a felon, a narcissist, and has no morals. And they tried to trip up Jack Smith, wouldn't let him finish his thought. I was angry because the man who holds the highest office called Ilhan Omar scum, and she should go back to her country. He called former Vice President Harris a B, on and on. And he has sent ICE to cities over the objections of authorities, beating up people, dragging women out of the cars, throwing them on the ground in the store. What a shame. And we have to work more than ever now and fight. And also, I'm so happy to see that you all are going to the college, because it's nice to know what's on the mind of our young people. And finally, Reverend, could you speak on this attorney that was kidnapped in Minnesota?
I'm getting all the details, but from what I've gotten so far, it is extremely disturbing that they grabbed this attorney and really held him at bay. And we don't know, I don't want to overspeak because I've talked to some of the people around him, and they're being very careful what they want to go public. But it is a very egregious act, and I know that some of us have been talking, Ben and I, to some of the people involved directly. All right, thank you for your call. I think I'm getting feedback. Let me go to Rick in Germany. Rick.
Good day, Brother Sharpton.
Good day.
I'm feeling mighty low, Brother Sharpton. Status report, personal and medical. My teeth are rotting and my colon is blocked due to CIA intestinal parasites. But I have a minute, and I'm going to have my say with you in this minute. You know, I'm getting your show on YouTube because I normally get your show on Fridays from WNOV in Milwaukee. Your show is not broadcast on Friday in Philly on WURD, even though they run it throughout the week, and WNOV Milwaukee, which usually broadcast all week, including Fridays. This Friday is now broadcasting music instead of a black man talking politics in this critical time. Maybe the whites who just bought WNOV want Milwaukee blacks to dance and make love rather than think about the work needed for the political situation there in the United States. And in closing, beyond Christian ideas in the New Testament and the revelation of apocalypse, I believe in the apocalypse. But that should not stop you as a black person from participating in politics to block hateful, wealthy whites and a few Jewish people among the wealthy who want to wage war and keep the poor oppressed there in America. Voting is critical in these last days and hours. Brother man, I'm done.
All right, thank you for your call. And I am not aware of what stations may sell or whatever, but I welcome all the stations that carry us, and you that are in cities, encourage your stations to continue to carry. Let me go to John in Little Mountain, South Carolina. John?
Hello, Al Sharpton, and I'm glad you got my call because sometimes I be thinking so deep that I forget and confuse myself. But listen at this. Our president, Trump, he made a statement about how to be a pure American. It's talent, Talent, talent. So at the time when he said that, I said, wow. But guess what? Trump talks in riddles, but he really don't talk in riddles to old people like you, like me, and on back at other folks that now are ready to exit this world, which was slaves. Now, to these new people like your daughter, I'm telling you, he's not really talking in riddles. That's the way of breaking up the English language. And if you're not educated on how to engage with him still, you the one go shut up. Now, the word talent, I found out which way this clown was talking about doing this. See, he's sending all the Spanish people back, and guess what black folks gonna do that are not educated? They're gonna start picking cucumbers, grapes, and all the stuff the Spanish people did. You see, they got machines to pick cotton. So what is your talent? If your talent is just to be on the welfare system or the give out system of America, they got you.
Right.
So now we look back at the word talent. If the thing is right now, if you don't know how to settle down, be cool, and go on back to the farms and start picking grapes and cucumbers instead of cotton, because they got cotton machines. If you don't know how to do that and you want to be a clown that starts this fighting and all that stuff, they got you.
Right.
They got jails. All I'm trying to say is we got to start listening. And this is the one thing I would like to pass on to your youngest daughter. And once I say it, if she thinks it's worth something, please do it. When you go to these churches and start talking to these pastors, they want things that stay like it always have been because nobody think above them. But if every black church had a group in there that consists of youths from 14 to 18, and what they do with that group is take care of the elderly people, their appointments, or things they may need at the house, or even taking them to the doctor. This is a learning process. These kids are learning from these old people naturally. What in the heck is going on? But guess what a lot of these pastors don't want done? They don't want that group to have a formation to where they are getting information naturally because you knocked them out. See, a lot of these folks sell themselves. See? And that's what's going on now in our time, Reverend. Everybody is beating blacks getting to the cell block because they selling themselves. But once again, let's go back to talent, what Trump said. If you don't have a talent, which means you're walking up behind AI, and America will tell you where to go. See, but if you have an understanding on getting as much education as possible yourself, and that's the leadership of whoever is leading, we got a chance now to pull out of this and not be animals. Hey, Reverend, take care of yourself.
May I address what he said, Rev?
Go ahead.
So I hear you, brother, and I hear you loud and clear. Some places are like that. We did visit 2 churches on the stop so far on the Ascend tour, Monumental, which Rev was there for in Philadelphia, and then this week we went to Hutchinson in Alabama, and I care to tell you that there it was different from what you're saying. They did have young people there. They do have groups where people have intergenerational conversations. We, like Nan, have intergenerational conversations where the young learn from their elders and the elders also learn from the young. But there has to be a transactional exchange. I know the music is going off, but I also remind you in Nehemiah, as we go forward, we have to be reminded to have a tool and a weapon. We have to be prepared to fight and to build at the same time. You talked about skills. There are so many tools that our young people have, and that we have to just bring them the resources and opportunities in order to go forth, like with AI, with technology, and so much more. But I see we have to go to the break, so I'll shush.
No, that's all right. Let's take the break. We'll be right back. More of this. And I think it's important we have these discussions because a lot of people are going by what they think and not what they know to be true. People, well, I don't know. Young folk don't go, yeah, a lot of churches are full of young people. And when the last time you've been to church? 30 years ago, so shut up. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't know about civil rights. All of the civil rights groups I know, especially now, have youth departments. You walking around with a 1960s Superfly hat on talking stuff. Ain't talking to nobody. Yeah, I said it. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Sharpton, that's my name. We'll be right back.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone. You reminded us that change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, as long as we don't give away our power. I also want to recognize my friends, Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, who continue to be such an important part of this movement. Finally, I want to congratulate another great friend, Eric Holder, on this well-deserved honor. Eric was obviously an outstanding Attorney General, and after the career he's had, he could have easily decided to ride off into the sunset. Sometimes I think that his wife Sharon wishes he had, but that's not who Eric is. Instead, over the last decade, he's built the National Democratic Redistricting Committee into a leading force in the fight against gerrymandering. And thanks to them, we've been able to push back some of the worst attempts to undermine our elections.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who never has gotten the credit she deserves in being the force behind this movement. Congressman John Conyers, Stevie Wonder, and others. And Ronald Reagan, who had called Martin Luther King a communist, ended up being the president that had to sign the bill for Martin Luther King's federal holiday. The reason why we know struggle works is this holiday is a result of struggle signed by a president that never thought it would be. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But we gather this morning because everything Dr. King stood for is at risk. As we speak, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, one of the major achievements of the King movement. As we speak this morning, this sitting president has declared war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the core of the Civil Rights Act of '64. We are under attack, and we should not be taking this as a day off. This is a day on to fight to keep what was maintained. To see, I remember 6 years ago, Martin III and I were in Minneapolis leading the marches around George Floyd. I did the eulogy at his funeral. 6 years later, we see a white female, unarmed, killed in Minneapolis. We see people being racially profiled. We see that there are those that would want this to be the last federal holiday named after King. Don't you be deceived. This sitting president and his cohorts would want to end Martin Luther King Day. But just like we will not let them end this day, we will not let them end voting rights and Civil Rights Act and DEI. It's not enough to remember and honor the dreamer and let them kill the dream. And that's why National Action Network has every year started in Washington, D.C. with this breakfast. And then we go to New York with our public policy forum. And every year, we try to set an agenda and go into April. We always have our national convention in April, which is the month Dr. King was killed, to say that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. And those of us that come out of that movement is going to continue to fight. This April will be our National Action Network is 35 years old in this April at our convention. One of the things, though, we've been most proud of is to try to keep the assignment that we were given. As I said, Mrs. Coretta Scott King never got the credit she was due. She's the matriarch of this movement. You must know that Dr. King was in Boston, had graduated Morehouse College, 19 years old. Went to Boston University, an Ivy League school at a time many blacks couldn't get in them. Met a young lady who was in conservatory, was going to be an opera singer from Marion, Alabama, Coretta Scott King. They decided to go back south. A lot of blacks that went north and had their upper movement never wanted to go back south. But for whatever reason, Dr. King wanted to go back south. And Mrs. King stood right with him and went to Alabama and ran into history. It is always those that accept the calling that change history. And we should never forget the sacrifice made of Dr. Martin and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, because they did not have to go and lead a boycott. They were Boston University Conservatory graduates. They chose to fight. And when it fell their lot, they kept fighting. And even after Dr. King was assassinated, she kept the movement going. Martin III bonded me and his mother, and she used to reprimand me. Al, you got to be careful with your language. Al, I know you up north, but do this, that, and other. She got on me about being not only in the tradition in your actions, because we always was there, but even in your rhetoric. And it was because of that it meant so much. For the last 30 years, Martin and I have walked step by step together because we had that bond. And I felt that Mrs. King gave us that. He has kept this dream alive all over the world. He has worked with the offsprings of Mahatma Gandhi to keep this tradition going. But I thought I knew a lot about how God operates because I've been preaching since I was a little boy. So I thought I'd never see another person in the spirit of Coretta Scott King. But Andrea Waters King walks and talks and operates in the spirit of Mrs. Because sometimes I turn around and think Mrs. King is back. She is more adamant. When Martin and I are saying, well, I don't know about this, she gets us on the Zoom and zooms us up. Say, no, y'all got to do this and this way. So I want to bring, before we start the awards, to the stage the heirs of Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, Andrea Waters King and Martin Luther King III. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. It's XL Friday, 1-877-532-5797. Ashley Sharpton and Reverend Cassius Rudolph is in the room with me here, Nan Corporate, and I'm reading some from our page, message board. Dorothy Vaughn said, that was a great speech, Ashley Sharpton. I get the ladies mixed up, Reverend Al Sharpton. No, you with Ashley today. Dominique is one who usually fills in with me. You know, one of the reasons is that Ashley is rarely on the radio. She's usually on the road with me. She's like on the road organizing huddle people wherever I go, young people to be in huddle, and while Dominique holds the radio show down. Kenneth Rush, I love this, says that we ought to actually have a NAN school of trade. We're going to talk about using trade skills at the convention. Everybody's not academic. Some needs to learn trades. Then we always deal, Kenneth Rush, with financial literacy. We've had, and we're going to have a lot of our black businessmen. We've had Robert Smith, the black billionaire, and John Rogers and others every year come and do the business ownership. Everybody's not trying to get a job. Some are building businesses. Well, how do you do that? How do you find the resources? Where do you get investors? All of that is at our convention. You're absolutely right. And Rodney Jones, the black brother, unlike no other, the mayor, you know him, Ashley, mayor of Queensbridge Houses in Queens, says, why do some accept ignorance instead of intelligence? Well, Mr. Mayor, it's easier to accept ignorance because you don't have to think. By its very nature, ignorance is easy. But thinking and organizing is a little more difficult. Next week, Mr. Mayor, January 30th, we will have been doing this show, Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton, for 20 years. Our 20th anniversary is January 30th, next week. We started in 2006. 2026, we've been on the air all over the country, 20 years, 5 days a week. When we get to the convention in April, Nan will be 35 years old. It takes thinking, it takes updating, it takes working, it takes a lot of times when you don't have the resources and have to figure it out to last that long. I've been on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC, now MS Now, this August 15 years. So it's easy for them to jump up and holler something in one rally or, say something revolutionary on Facebook and then go back into you being anonymous. It's hard to be out front and stay for decades. And you only do it if you're dedicated. Let's go to Brother Nim in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Brother Nim, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Well, hallelujah. Thank you, Brother Sharpton. The name is Meme.
Meme.
M-E-M.
All right, they
Meme,
gave me
right
the wrong.
out of
They gave me the wrong spelling. Meme. I got it now.
Don't worry about it because I just turned 70 years old December 20th, and I only got a few teeth in my mouth.
Young.
So
You're a young
sometimes
man.
I
You're a
can
young
hear-
man.
Oh, yeah, right behind you. And I'm thanking God for you, bruh, because, see, this is my first time calling, but Wednesday and today, man, you had me rolling when you was talking about Trump the other day, but today when you said about the guy with the Superfly hat. Bruh, and see, there are no coincidences. I told your screener, which is true, I still want to, 2:30 this morning, the Holy Ghost woke me up. And I'm like, now I jump in the word. And matter of fact, right now I'm looking at 2 Chronicles 7:14 to answer the mayor of New York. And I got some more scriptures I was going to ask if I wasn't going to read them, but I was just going to tell our brothers and sisters where to go in the great extraterrestrial supernatural book of books called the King James Holy Bible.
All right. So you
Okay.
said you want them to read 2 Corinthians?
No. I said, as I was sitting here right now, I'm looking at 2 Chronicles.
Oh, 2 Chronicles. Okay.
Yeah, if my people which are called by my name.
Humble themselves and pray and keep.
Hey, now.
All right.
So see, that was our Lord talking to King Solomon.
Right.
And then he bumped it up when he was talking to Brother Hosea over there in what's that, 4 and 6, my people were destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Right.
These things correspond with some of the people that have called in prior to you coming to me.
Wow.
I'll tell you something else.
I love it.
I'll tell you something else I like about you. Today is Exhale Friday, right?
Right.
Bruh, I'm full. I'm a preacher of the gospel, okay? But not in the traditional sense. I'm doing it the way our Lord told us to do it. Go into the world. I've been ministering to homeless people going on over 20 years. But you won't believe this, but yes, then again, you will. And I'm in great company with you, Dr. King, and anybody else that has ever been incarcerated for righteousness. Now, check this one out. It started last January. When I came out of the church house in Norwood, Ohio, it was like someone had picked the Norwood's finest hornet nest because it seemed like every cop was up there. But check this out. When they saw that it was me, who they call preacher man, it was like when when the Lord told them in the garden who he was, they fell back and they were shocked. It was like, man, you minister to the homeless, you're not a troublemaker, you this or that. Didn't do nothing. The guy did say, yeah, but the lady said she don't want you to come back up here. Well, they don't know if you are a real tried and true son of God or woman of God. Go to Romans 8:14. See, when I hear people mention Romans, they go straight to 28. We know all things work together for good. But see, check this one out. You can't go nowhere on this planet to a bank, credit union, or savings and loan and make a withdrawal if you've never made a deposit.
That's right. If you try to make a withdrawal without a deposit, they call that robbery. You can't. You go to the bank and try to take out what you didn't put in. They'll call the police. They'll call the popo. Thank you for your call. Let me take my break. I'm coming back. Lines are full. It's Exhale Friday. We'll be right back. Going to talk also some more with Ashley Sharpton and Reverend Cassius Rudolph. You can go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and see the stops they're making. I'm going to be with them. And where the next stop I'm going is in Richmond, Virginia. I'm doing Virginia Union with them, and then we're going to
Morris College down in Sumter,
I'm going to Sumter with them in Morris, and
Jackson, Mississippi, Tougaloo College.
I'm going to Tougaloo only because Cassius graduated from there. He's making me go to Tougaloo.
And then you're going to follow us down to Texas, Houston.
Going to Houston, Texas. And I'm going to do something with Robert Smith in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. The Aware Fest at the end of March.
At the end of March. So I'm going to be doing 5 more campuses. They got about 9 more, 9 or 10. We're going to get our young folks. Y'all talk that young folk. We need to talk to our young people. I'm going to talk to them. We already started, and we're sending them out there, and we're bringing them to the convention. That's why you better register now, because you won't have a seat. I might have everybody under 25 sitting where you used to sit because you was too lazy to register early. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came in to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice. So I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Westmore. And as a former honoree of the National Action Network's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, I want to begin by recognizing the leadership of this great organization. My guy, Reverend Sharpton, you're one of a kind. You've dedicated your life to safeguarding and advancing Dr. King's legacy, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine. I also want to thank Ebony Riley and her team, and Andrea Waters King and the entire King family. Your work continues to shape national conversations about equity and justice, and you inspire so many to pursue their own path in public service. And finally, I am thrilled to congratulate today's Visionary Award recipient, my guy, Mayor Brandon Scott. Mr. Mayor, you deserve this honor. Your leadership is turning your vision for Baltimore into a Baltimore where we can all thrive, helping to drive down historic lows in crime. A Baltimore that has one of the fastest growing economies in the country. You've been an incredible partner in this work, my man. A strong leader for the city, and most importantly, a devoted friend and father. So congratulations, Brandon. And thank you to everyone here who is working to strengthen our communities, to broaden opportunities, and most importantly, to serve the people.
Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom.
in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of Nash Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797 is Exhale Friday. And let me repeat, don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, 5 p.m. on Sunday, live on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. Tomorrow I'm going to have on members of the Congress. I'm going to talk to the head of the largest education union in the country, Becky Pringle. I'm going to have on those that are on the ground, both in Minnesota and in Maine. And I'm going to deal with this whole question of what Jack Smith said, having on some in the Senate. So catch both days. I'm going to have the Mayor of Jackson, Mississippi on one of the days. It's going to be two action-packed days dealing with the real nitty-gritty. Watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday on MS Now. And then you that are in the New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut area, meet me in the morning at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice. We'll be there at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice. 106 West 145th Street and Lenox Avenue and 145th. You that are not in New York can watch it live on Impact Television or YouTube/NAN. We live on YouTube now and at nationalactionnetwork.net. And Lottie, Dottie, and everybody is signing up to come to NAN's convention. I haven't even put out the names yet, and we have almost 2,000 registered. It's free. It's the 8th of April to the 11th. Register, say, I can't come all 4 days. I'll be there one day. I'll be there 2 days. I'm going to register. Send me the info. I'm out from out of town. It's free. All you got to do is get here, and we will register you. And we have our leading workshops, our leading people, scholars, media people, everybody comes to NAN's convention. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4651 and register by phone. Cassius, you've been to the convention even before you came on staff at National Action Network. What's the exciting thing to you about NAN's convention?
Oh, yes, Reverend. I've been a few times. I definitely love the kickoff evening gala. That thing is always packed, informative, good music and entertainment, food and fun, and then the memorial luncheon in honor of William Augustus Jones. It's usually packed to the brim with faith leaders and community leaders and great speakers. So I'm definitely looking forward to those two events this year. Put on my good tux for the gala and then hear a word from our speaker. And I know you're going to announce all those speakers for the convention, so I don't want to spoil that. I'm just looking forward to being in the place all week.
And Ashley, you grew up, obviously, as my youngest daughter. What is the highlight for you in the convention? Highlights, I should say. I know one of the highlights is you do Cuddle and do the Youth Days and the fashion show on the last day on Saturday. What's the highlights for you?
Well, of course, like you said, Youth and College Day is one of my favorite days of convention. It's the last day. But a lot of my favorite parts are on the first day. There's a panel about full of the survivors or victims that Attorney Crump does with Divest Toon, and we usually hear from the family of George Floyd, the family of Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Garner's mother, Gwen Carr, Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Trayvon Martin. We always hear about basically what happened to their sons or their children rather, and basically they're the mothers of the movement, and basically how National Action Network helped to amplify what happened, and basically what they're doing to make sure it's not happening continuously. So that's one of my favorite panels. I also enjoy the women's luncheon. I enjoy the Reverend Augustus Jones luncheon. Of course, Keepers of the Dream is incredible, but mainly he talked about Reverend Cassius talked about a lot of highlights, but I enjoy the awards, especially the Michael A. Hardy Award, that I always look forward to seeing who's the recipient of that, and rest in peace always in his legacy and his memory. But always just to see who's going to be awarded for the year and to hear from them, to hear from you. One of my favorite parts is Measuring the Movement, which is on the last day before Youth and College kicks off. Measuring the Movement is basically a measuring literally of the movement of what happened throughout the year, and basically the main issues from different leaders from around the nation. They come and they talk about basically what's on the agenda and what's going forward. Last year you did the call to action, basically about economic justice and where we are, and how how they kicked off the economic fight last year in response to the DEI, and I think that basically set the tone for the rest of the year, and it's still going on right now, from DEI Thursdays to boycotts to boycotts. So
yeah, I also one of the highlights, and I will say this early before I put out the other names, since you brought up Ben Crump, and many of the victims will be doing one of the kickoff workshops. But we're going to do some political workshops as always. All the people running in midterm, the big ones, are going to be at the convention. And those that are thinking about running for president in 28 are coming in early. So it's going to be a lot. All right, let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Leon in Dallas, Texas. Leon, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton, Ashley Sharpton, and Reverend Cassius Rudolph.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Couple of things, Reverend Al. I'm still, how can I say it, out of joint every time I think about the lady in Minnesota who that ICE guy just shot in the face and shot her 3 other times. And I wish people could have an opportunity to look at the autopsy photo, see what a 9mm bullet can do to a human being's face. Okay, and they could see how inhumane that is to shoot this lady, not 1 time, but 4 times, as she was attempting to drive away because she didn't want them to snatch her out of the car. She put her car in reverse, turned the wheel to the right. He shot her from the front, and then when she turned parallel to him or facing him or whatever however you describe, he shot 3 times through the window. Okay? This is excessive use of force. All he had to do was get out of the way. She was trying to get away from him. And then he called her an F and B when he was walking up to the car.
Right.
So that showed that he had malice, and malice was combined with that forethought. He murdered that woman. It was an execution. And then you have the administration saying, well, she was trying to be a professional agitator and blah, blah, blah. And all this lady was just a lady who was saying, you guys are not right doing us like this in Minnesota. And then you shot her in the face. And, you know, I mentioned a couple of years ago about the Nazi Party. And I said the Fourth Reich. Okay. Right. And this is for the young people. This is Gestapo tactics. And what you have to do is go back and look at documentaries about what the Gestapo did for Hitler and what was done leading up to World War II and as it progressed. Okay, let's start off with, I'm going to take somebody's country. Well, he took Poland. Sound familiar? I've got people in the streets who come into a city and outnumber the traditional law enforcement 2 or 3 to 1 and start just dragging people out of the houses, dragging people out of the cars. These are Gestapo tactics. And people who are saying, it wouldn't happen in America. Well, hello, it is happening here. Okay? So every time I look on the news, I see something more egregious that this administration is perpetrating on our citizens. It goes from one step, and then he steps out to Greenland. Okay, people need to start taking this cat seriously, and when it comes to the election time, young people, get out and vote and get your other young friends to vote. Don't do like was done during the presidential election where we undervoted. We didn't vote in as we should have in the numbers that we could have. Okay, secondly, I'm fighting this economic development battle, as you know, Reverend Al. We don't get any economic development funding in our predominantly black communities. There are no jobs. There are no grocery stores. The housing is substandard. But yet these governments take in billions of dollars. And I was talking about, say, for instance, New York, $102 billion a year annual. Well, what's wrong with giving 1% of that money to a fund to do economic development in these underserved neighborhoods? What's wrong with that? You're paying the taxes. But when I go down and try to talk to these governmental agencies, I'm the only one there. I get 3 minutes and nothing changes. And we have elected representatives who look like us, but they are not saying, maybe this might be a good idea. They're saying, I didn't think of it, so I'm not going to support it to help our community. Where are we at on this, Reverend Al? Can you answer me a question on that?
I couldn't. How could I answer with your city council? I know what we got done here in New York. So no, I cannot answer that. Not about Dallas. I think that what we've got to do in New York, we made them set aside some investment capital, and we made them do contracts with black-owned businesses and other businesses, Latino and women. And I think that's what we did here. I know that we worked on that in several other cities. I want to come to Dallas. I keep saying I'm coming, I'm going to do that. But I do not know what's the problem in Dallas. But I know it can be done because we've done it here. In fact, the guy that was in charge of that under Eric Adams, Gardner, who was related to Eric Gardner who got killed, Zoran Mandani's kept him over to keep on investing in making sure businesses like that get taxpayer dollar investments. So I know how it can be done. Let me take my break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real. How you going to ask me how come?
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go. Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive.
Yes, sir.
There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday The National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9. And we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
Come on.
We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. Yeah. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them
well. King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Mosley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
Oh, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's XL Friday, and Ashley Sharpton and Reverend Cassius Rudolph, who has been on this HBCU tour with Alpha, Phi Alpha, and National Action Network, is in the office with me. We're joined, as we are every Friday at the last hour of the show for the week, by the senior pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church in Detroit, as well as head of national expansion, Michigan State Chair of National Action Network, Reverend Charles Williams II. How you doing, Reverend?
All is well, and Rev, it's always good to be with you and Ashley and Brother Cassius. So much good work
Yeah,
being
they're
done,
doing a
so much more
great
good work.
They're doing a great work. It's exciting out there. Let me get to some of the calls and read. I got 3 of y'all, so I'm going to be chopping everybody in. Happiness Donuts is writing on the message board. Some people think that you're a Goliath or something, Rev. Yeah, it's important that people have somewhere to call and be, and I try to be and do what I can. And I share the frustration of our brother in Dallas, Leon, because it's frustrating when you got black executives, not executives, but elected officials that won't stand up and do things. I can tell you what we've done in some places and where we failed in others, but I share his frustration because I wonder why they think we elected them. And you can feel like you're out there by yourself. That's why I've been saying for months I want to get into Dallas and spend some time, and then I'm yanked here and there. But we really got to do it. And I'd like to see some of the people running this year make this an issue and say that's why I'm running. Because if we have political power and not economic power, we're going to lose the political power. Because you're going to have to go to others to get your money to sponsor your politics. So I hope they do that, and I think that I understand the frustration, Brother Leon. I've been there. I tried long time, Cassius, get New York black politicians to do something. So I just went on out in the street, started doing it myself, and by the time I got through cutting up and all that, they all got with me because the people got with me. Sometimes you just got to go for what you know. And people will get with you because they feel the same pain you do. You've done that in Detroit there, Reverend William.
Yeah, I mean, you got to push past, the all of those who are maybe naysayers, and the work continues. But more importantly, when you do the work, it really doesn't matter what anybody says.
That's right. Work will speak for itself. Let's go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira, you're keeping it real with Sharpton, Rudolph, and Reverend Charles Williams II. Don't forget there's a Charles Williams I. He's a preacher, too. It's Charles Williams II.
Hey,
Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Thanks for taking my call this afternoon. I'm just going to keep it quick, 5 minutes again. I just had an article that I ran across that said something about 580,000 undocumented European residents in red states, such as Texas and Florida, 2.1 million and maybe 1.7 in Florida. And they said in the article was they don't hunt their own. They only send people of our Mexican or Hispanic or blacks to hunt their other black people or other people of their ethnic background. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, see if there was any truth to that. And the ICE agent that unalived the young lady, he had a GoFundMe page that I read about that he has a lot of money in, and so does the young lady has a lot of money in her uh, page too for her family as well. And I said, that's just amazing to how somebody stands and back behind somebody with that kind of background. And lastly, what I did was I changed the name of Mr. 4745 from the Orange Cheeto in charge to the Orange U.S. Accident number 4547. So that's his new title, because I know all his people are listening to all programs that has something to do with him. So he's getting it firsthand from us, from the Al Sharpton Radio Show. The U.S. Orange U.S. Accident number 47. That's him. That's his new name.
All right, Ira, thank you for your call. I think that one of the things, Reverend, you're young, and Reverend Rudolph is young. I think that one of the things that I'm excited about with this tour is that it gives a continuity of struggle, because every generation has to pick up struggle and do it in their way. Dr. King and Roy Wilkins and those in that generation, Malcolm and others did it their way, because they dealt with, I think what people don't understand is they dealt with what was the issues and the conditions at that time. They didn't have to fight against slavery. Slavery was legally over, but segregation was the law. And then the next generation, John Lewis and Julian Bond and Jesse Jackson and Stokely Carmichael, all of them around the same age. They fought for political empowerment and Pan-Africanism. Then my generation, in terms of our dealing with taking political empowerment into economic empowerment. So we got a first black president and first black vice president, and built some black billionaires. And to where black mayors and black in government statewide officials is not as significant to my generation as it was to Jesse and John Lewis's generation, because I grew up with them having it. We had that. So you've got to decide and deal with what's in your generation. The other problem I think you got, Reverend Williams, challenge, I won't say a problem, Reverend Williams, Reverend Rudolph, and Ashley, is that in my generation, the media changed from networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, to cable. So most people got the entertainment off the networks, and cable would give them their news and information. It is now transitioning that you keep cable and social media and AI. So how do blacks empower themselves in the AI and in the social media? And otherwise, we're going to lose our ability to communicate at all. We fought our way in to the network TV world and said, you got to give us shows, you got to let us have some power in these corporations. And the generation ahead of me, in my generation, we did the same with cable. I'm on my 15th year hosting a cable show. But are young people thinking about where or how do we get some control of AI or some control of some of these social media entities? Otherwise, they could shut us off or shut us on when they want. You realize Elon Musk owns X. So all of these activists, Charles Williams, are talking about, well, no, it's a new day, we in social media. They act like we own some of the social, we don't own any of the social media, and have very few top black executives in these social media companies.
Rev, it's interesting because I heard somebody say I was had a radio broadcast at one time, and they said you don't own it, you just own it.
Mm-hmm.
And I I realized quite quickly But you're absolutely right. I mean, that's pulling together. I think the work that we do in the National Action Network with this national tour, historically black colleges telling our story, man to man, ground to ground, on the ground. You told me something I remember. I never forgot it. You said you can do a whole lot of TV. You can send out a whole lot of tweets, Facebook, and everything else. One thing that folk will never not respect is how many people you can put out there in the street and on the street. That's important. And I think having the kind of communication, Saturday action rallies, you have a Saturday action rally in New York. We have a couple places across the country. Of course, we do it in Detroit, is an opportunity for us to gather. Sunday morning is the opportunity for us to gather. Our historically black colleges that have gatherings, whether they're church gatherings or weekly gatherings that the students are mandated to go to. These are our ways of communicating. We done a whole lot, as you have said before on many occasions, when we didn't have a cell phone, didn't have a pager, fax machine, email, or anything else, and we organized folks from slavery to present. They don't want to tell that story no more, but that's the story we got to keep telling, and using the same tactics to keep telling that story.
Reverend Rudolph explained to me how we, well, let me take the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who never has gotten the credit she deserves in being the force behind this movement. Congressman John Conyers, Stevie Wonder, and others. And Ronald Reagan, who had called Martin Luther King a communist, ended up being the president that had to sign the bill for Martin Luther King's federal holiday. The reason why we know struggle works is this holiday is a result of struggle, signed by a president that never thought it would be. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But we gather this morning because everything Dr. King stood for is at risk. As we speak, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, one of the major achievements of the King movement. As we speak this morning, this sitting president has declared war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the core of the Civil Rights Act of '64. We are under attack, and we should not be taking this as a day off. This is a day on to fight to keep what was maintained. To see, I remember 6 years ago, Martin III and I were in Minneapolis leading the marches around George Floyd. I did the eulogy at his funeral. 6 years later, we see a white female, unarmed, killed in Minneapolis. We see people being racially profiled. We see that there are those that would want this to be the last federal holiday named after King. Don't you be deceived. This sitting president and his cohorts would want to end Martin Luther King Day. But just like we will not let them end this day, we will not let them end voting rights and voting rights and Civil Rights Act and DEI, it's not enough to remember and honor the dreamer and let them kill the dream. And that's why National Action Network has every year started in Washington, D.C. with this breakfast, and then we go to New York with our public policy forum. And every year we try to set an agenda and go into April. We always have our national convention in April, which is the month Dr. King was killed, to say that they killed the dreamer, not the dream, and those of us that come out of that movement is going to continue to fight. This April will be our National Action Network is 35 years old in this April at our convention. One of the things, though, we've been most proud of is to try to keep the assignment that we were given. As I said, Mrs. Coretta Scott King never got the credit she was due. She's the matriarch of this movement. You must know that Dr. King was in Boston, had graduated Morehouse College, 19 years old, went to Boston University, an Ivy League school at a time many blacks couldn't get in there. Met a young lady who was in conservatory, going to be an opera singer from Marion, Alabama, Coretta Scott King. They decided to go back south. A lot of blacks that went north and had their upper movement never wanted to go back south. But for whatever reason, Dr. King wanted to go back south. And Mrs. King stood right with him and went to Alabama and ran into history. It is always those that accept the calling that change history. And we should never forget the sacrifice made of Dr. Martin and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, because they did not have to go and lead a boycott. They were Boston University Conservatory graduates. They chose to fight. And when it fell their lot, they kept fighting. And even after Dr. King was assassinated, she kept the movement going. Martin III bonded me and his mother, and she used to reprimand me. Al, you got to be careful with your language. Al, I know you up north, but do this, that, and other. She got on me about being not only in the tradition in your actions, because we always was there, but even in your rhetoric. And it was because of that that it meant so much. For the last 30 years, Martin and I have walked step by step together because we had that bond, and I felt that Mrs. King gave us that. He has kept this dream alive all over the world. He has worked with the offsprings of Mahatma Gandhi to keep this tradition going. But I thought I knew a lot about how God operates because I've been preaching since I was a little boy. So I thought I'd never see another person in the spirit of Coretta Scott King. But Andrea Waters King walks and talks and operates in the spirit of Mrs. Because sometimes I turn around and think Mrs. King is back. She is more adamant. When Martin and I are saying, well, I don't know about this, she gets us on the Zoom and zooms us up. Say, no, y'all got to do this and this way. So I want to bring, before we start the awards, to the stage the heirs of Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, Andrea Waters King and Martin Luther King III.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to see
you been?
Doing fine.
Good.
Right, last time.
Can we?
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have slavery.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And Reverend Rudolph, I was going to you and Ashley. We talking about social media. One of the things that I hope you address, because it's a sincere thing that bothers me in terms of questioning. I hear a lot of, I've heard in the last 5 or 6 years, George Floyd movement on. A lot of young people, particularly in other communities, but some in the black community, say that they build their movement on social media, and they have leaderless movements. And I understand not wanting to be controlled by what they call corporate media or structures that inhibit them. But I also understand that social media is controlled by corporate media. If you are on whatever social media you use, and the only way you get it to somebody's phone or somebody's laptop is through Verizon or AT&T, corporate media, who can cut you off. So I don't know who's playing with who here, because you can't do Twitter, X, Instagram, AI without going through corporate media entities. Now, we have some black, I think you looked up, Ashley, 3 black-owned telecommunications places. I know Isaac Hayes III, somebody was on our message board. He's trying to build something. But they're not using them. They're using corporate media to say they're against corporate media. That bothers me. Second is, I understand having a decentralized leadership, but if there's no central leadership, I don't care if it's a board, committee, or one person like we've done in the church, then if everybody's leading, then that's easy to infiltrate and lead you the wrong way. How do you have a check and balance without defined leadership? Explain that to me.
Right. You got to have a balance. And I believe in that, because the young people today, they know about the corporate work, they know about social media and the power that comes behind that, but you got to have a balance. I think the Gen Z generation is teaching millennials and generations before us the power to use it. And I think since we've been on the tour, me, Ashley, and the rest of the team, we have one of our facilitators that talk about the power of social media, the power of using quotes and QR codes, because they generate a population really fast. But I think for us in this generation, we need to really hone in using it to our ability. And then I think when we collect data and when corporations reach out to us, we tell them, listen, we got the data, we can prove that it worked, but you got to meet us at the table and give us something in order to receive something.
And Ashley?
Honestly, I'm gonna be transparent. I think that we've been bamboozled. Our young people have been bamboozled in regards to in thinking that is power where there is not. Yes, social media has given everybody a voice, everybody a platform, equal platform. Yes, which is great. But at the end of the day, like you said, there is no ownership there. They can put you on, they can cut you off. They can literally kick you off or ban you off social media as soon as as you post or do something that they feel is against their standards with no explanation. They can block your accounts, they can remove your content, and a lot of us don't understand. As soon as we post something on social media, it now is owned by that platform. And like you said, we don't own those platforms. So I've been outside as far as with social media activism first began with Eric Garner, and they can literally cut your phone off if you go too close to a van and you don't even know what's happening. So it's a false sense of freedom. It's a false sense of power because it's not true. In reality, it's not. It helps with organizing because anyone can see something. But like you said, it's a lack of ownership. It's a lack of value, in my opinion. And I think that's why it's very, very important that though we have social media organizing, you have to have on the ground organizing. You have to have something like the National Action Network, like other civil rights organizations, something that is tangible, that people can meet in person and talk to each other and actually own and occupy the space and own whatever. If you have the live stream or not, if you want to put it up or not, it's still yours to keep because that is a sense of power that can't be taken away by somebody with the click of a button.
And Reverend Williams, that somebody's accountable to. I mean, if you leave Nan in Michigan and in Detroit, and you have rallies every Saturday as we do in National, people know they can come to you, and if you do something or don't do something, you're accountable. If you have a leaderless movement, there's nobody held accountable. Somebody's, just get up on social media and say, meet me on the corner or X and Y, and you don't even know who called it. You could be walking into a trap. I don't hear William.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I don't hear William. But you get my point, Reverend Rudolph. I think that we've got to be very, very circumspect. I think that some of the young people that have circumspect about us and some of the tactics we've done all the way to y'all's generation are right to raise questions. Mm-hmm. But then they also should be open for questions to be asked of them. What I don't get is they want a one-way conversation.
Right.
And I'm saying, hold it. We both got questions. Exactly. Let's answer each other's questions.
That's right. Keyword you said, accountability. And I think this generation and millennials too, we have to make sure that we hold each other accountable.
Right.
Like you said, when you don't have a leader, we don't have a person to point to directly, then things get lost in the sauces.
And fine, if you don't want to do that, fine, but tell me how we have accountability there.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you got to. I come out of a leadership model from when I was a kid. Nan has run that way. When I'm going from Nan, the national board will decide on a new leader. That is our construct. I don't apologize about that. But I'm open to working with other constructs. But tell me how there's accountability there. Because if I'm going to work with you, Reverend Al, we ought to be working together on this issue. Who am I working with?
Exactly.
And who am I is being accountable? Mm-hmm. Because if I'm dealing with a bereaved family who's a victim, if I'm dealing with some, they want some delivery. They don't want a nice email sent around.
Exactly. And then, you, like you said, accountability. And another thing, relationship. When you're on the ground and doing this work, folks want to know that you care. You can't work for the people if you don't love the people. And if you can't love the people, you really can't serve the people.
Right.
And so what we've done at NAN and what I've learned about NAN over the years, NAN is going to be accountable. It's going to make sure its leadership is accountable, and it's going to build a relationship on the ground all the way to the top.
And is Reverend Williams back with us? I don't know. We lost.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm with you.
How do you handle that, Reverend, out there in Detroit?
No, I was just gonna say that that's the reason why I'm so faithful to the Saturday Action Rally. One, because it's accountable, but two, we started this conversation talking about the fact that you have to have a way to get information out there. Isn't always we need to have a press conference to make a big announcement, or I got to send out 1,000 Facebook posters and tweets. sometimes you just want to be able, you have to continue the same tactics of organizing for the element of surprise that's needed. And you have a lot of folks that'll get ahead of you if you start promoting it too far out there in different types of ways to thwart your actual movement, as we have seen before when folks have jumped on stage and grabbed microphones. So it's a strategy behind it. It's just not us out here doing this. This is the King tradition. We're gonna keep marching that.
I'm going to do a whole show on this because also you got to bring the element that China owns a lot of these social media entities. I mean, I told some of these young white leftists, you going to open up a conversation with me that you may not want to have because China's in there. It is not even all the way with the U.S. So before I leave what I know, even though I know the vulnerabilities, I ain't gonna jump out the frying pan into the fire. Why? Because I don't like to get burned. It just don't feel good. I'll be right back, keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice.
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We gonna shine and we shake. Give me a papa God rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Westmore. And as a former honoree of the National Action Network's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, I want to begin by recognizing the leadership of this great organization. My guy, Reverend Sharpton, you're one of a kind. You've dedicated your life to safeguarding and advancing Dr. King's legacy, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine. I also want to thank Ebony Riley and her team and Andrea Waters King and the entire King family. Your work continues to shape national conversations about equity and justice, and you inspire so many to pursue their own path in public service. And finally, I am thrilled to congratulate today's Visionary Award recipient, my guy, Mayor Brandon Scott. Mr. Mayor, you deserve this honor. Your leadership is turning your vision for Baltimore into a Baltimore where we can all thrive, helping to drive down historic lows in crime. A Baltimore that has one of the fastest growing economies in the country. You've been an incredible partner in this work, my man. A strong leader for the city, and most importantly, a devoted friend and father. So congratulations, Brandon. And thank you to everyone here who is working to strengthen our communities, to broaden opportunities, and most importantly, to serve the people.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone. You reminded us that change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, as long as we don't give away our power. I also want to recognize my friends, Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, who continue to be such an important part of this movement. Finally, I want to congratulate another great friend, Eric Holder, on this well-deserved honor. Eric was obviously an outstanding Attorney General, and after the career he's had, he could have easily decided to ride off into the sunset. Sometimes I think that his wife Sharon wishes he had, but that's not who Eric is. Instead, over the last decade, he's built the National Democratic Redistricting Committee into a leading force in the fight against gerrymandering. And thanks to them, we've been able to push back some of the worst attempts to undermine our elections. It speaks to Eric's love of country but also his recognition of how important this work is. He understands that our democracy isn't self-executing. We have to fight for it each and every day. And that's going to be especially true as we head into the midterms later this year. So, thanks to Eric and his team for doing everything they can to put our elections on a level playing field. And thanks to all of you for helping people recognize their own power and put it to good use. Take care, everybody, and God bless.
In 1929, a child was born who would one day awaken the conscience of a nation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did not inherit a world ready for justice. He inherited a world resistant to it. Yet through faith and fearless leadership, he transformed struggle into strength and vision into movement.
Yes, we're on the move and no wave of racism can stop us. Yes, sir. The burning of our churches will not deter us. Yes, sir. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us. Yes, sir. The beating and killing of our clergymen and young people will not divert us. Yes, sir. The wanton release of their known murderers will not discourage us. We're on the move now. Yes, sir. Like an idea whose time has come. Yes, sir. Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us. Yes, sir. We're moving to the land of freedom. Yes, sir.
His dream was never meant to live in history books. It was meant to live through us. And today, that vision still lives. It lives through leadership that refuses to be silent, and through those entrusted with carrying the legacy forward through the moral leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton and the continued stewardship of Martin Luther King III, ensuring that Dr. King's dream remains a mandate, not a memory. Through National Action Network, that vision remains active, organizing in the streets, advocating in the halls of power, and confronting injustice wherever it exists. Last year, on Dr. King's Day, we stood together and made a vow to keep alive everything Dr. King stood for, not just in word, but in action. We marched, we gathered, and we recommitted ourselves to the work. Since then, the movement has not paused from the National Action Network convention, where leaders came together to organize and build power, to the Keepers of the Dream Gala, an event established in the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to honor those who actively protect, advance, and live out his vision of justice, equality, and service. It is especially meaningful to remember that Mrs. Coretta Scott King was honored at the very first Keepers of the Dream Gala.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
And she did more than honor the dream she protected. At the 2000 March on Washington, Mrs. Coretta Scott King charged Martin Luther King III and Reverend Al Sharpton with the responsibility of carrying forward Dr. King's vision, ensuring that the movement would remain alive, relevant, and unafraid.
And to see them today here warms my heart, because indeed the future of our leadership is in good hands, especially with all the others who are here in support of them. And I want to ask first that Martin Luther King III come forth, and then Mr. Reverend
and Reverend Cassius Rudolph in NAN corporate. Let me again remind you, tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. both nights, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. On MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. I'm going to have members of the Congressional Black Caucus on. I'm going to have Congress people from Minnesota on. I'm going to have experts on Jack Smith's testimony. I'm going to deal with the question of the Federal Reserve and the job that President Trump tried to take from Lisa Cook. We're going to have the head of the National Education Association, largest in the country, how this all is impacting the schools. uh, Mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. I'm going to have all this on between the two nights live. Make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton and tell your friends to watch it. Get me 2 or 3 people every week. Say, just turn it on. See if you get some information and ideas when you watch it. And I appreciate that support. Now, you that are in the New Jersey, New York, Connecticut area, meet me in the morning, Saturday Action Rally in Harlem at the House of Justice. Not the snow's coming, but it's not coming till Sunday. So be at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television. You can watch it on YouTube/NAN or at nationalactionnetwork.net. And then everybody is signing up. We've had scores sign up today to be at the national convention of the National Action Network. It's April 8th through the 11th. We have our workshops, everything from economic empowerment to how we deal with political empowerment in this fight over Section 2, how we deal with our criminal justice system, our women's luncheon, our ministers' luncheon, our youth, our organizing. Ashley Sharpton has joined Reverend Cassius Rudolph and others on this 14 campus tour of HBCUs. I've done one of them. We're doing another 4. Having a lot of young people this year. We want to have intergenerational dialogue. Go, even before I drop the big names that's coming, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and register. It's all free. And or you can go and call it 1-877-626-4651. 1-877-626-4651. Reverend Williams, what's going on at the Detroit Saturday Action Rally tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we are moving forward with our plans for voter registration. We're working very into voter registration, voter empowerment, voter education, making sure that we have a Senate seat that's up this year. We've got to be deeply involved and engaged, so we're preparing all of our actors across the state to get involved and get engaged. Of course, we are also moving an agenda to try to support the current mayoral administration around the importance of housing affordability. And so we're looking to hear from some of those from the administration who will be coming by. So we got a lot to involved in. And if you want to start in person, registering for the convention from Michigan, come on to the Saturday Action Rally where we can go ahead and get Lori and the administrative team, get you online, get you registered, and get you ready to go to the national convention.
All right. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to the irrepressible, incomparable president of the Greater Cleveland chapter of National Action Network, Dr. Marcia McCoy.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Professor House, Reverend Charles Williams II, Sister Ashley, and Reverend Rudolph. Politics are local. We must be the change we want to see. We continue our precinct government trainings. NAN members are running their precinct, and the motivation started back during that unprecedented 2000 presidential election, the Florida fiasco when George Bush became president and Al Gore conceded. They were purging voters. Countless numbers of people were turned away from their polling locations, being threatened and intimidated by the police that if they hadn't paid their child support, they were going to be arrested. So we had a lot of things happen in our neighborhood. So we run for precinct committee. Come on, Bishop. I know you got a lot to say. I can go on and on.
Dr. Al Sharpton,
Yes, sir.
Lady Ashley, and Reverend Rudolph, Dr. Charles Williams.
Yes, sir.
Hold my mule, my brother.
We got you, Reverend.
Make no mistake about it. The asininity that is transpiring in the United States of America today is an exact replication of what happened in Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany during the 1930s. Ice cold Gestapo police, masked with guns, blazing, raiding homes and dragging people from their homes, incarcerating them, shipping them off to destinations unknown, ultimately killing some 6 million of our Jewish brothers and sisters. Fast forward, and here we are in America, good old America, Democratic Republic of America. We have the immigration and enforcement, better known as ICE, with their Gestapo tactics, raiding legitimate citizens, housing, dragging them out into the cold winter night, in some cases even in their underwear. German theologian Pastor Martin Niemöller poignantly wrote, first they came for the communists, and I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists. I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then when they came for me, there was no one left to speak out for me. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words are as relevant today as they were then, that history will have note to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. Dr. King called the active engagement against injustice not just passive hope, is inevitable. The inevitable arc of the universe, moral universe, bends toward justice. He also warned that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. This totalitarian asininity is in place because America has put in the White House a convicted felon who has no moral principles, no guardrails for judicious law and order, no respect for women, grabs them by their private parts, hates black people, denigrates people of color, cuts aid to starving people around the world, cuts health care, social security, impose tariffs on nations that increase food prices, taxes the poor and needy, cut taxes for the rich, build a gold ballroom for his millionaire and billionaire friends, enjoy a 10-year friendship with a notorious sex trafficker who raped young girls as young as 11 years of age. Probably worst of all is his weaponization of the federal government itself to punish his perceived enemies who simply disagree with him and oppose his lawless harm, all that lawless harm that he has done to public education, colleges, universities. All this is an abomination to the interests of young people. If something is not done to check this wannabe dictator, this wannabe king, this racist, bigoted, obvious white supremacist who vows to trash NATO by waging war, occupying Greenland, annex Mexico, Cuba, Venezuela, and seize the Panama Canal, heaven knows where we will end up. If he is not voted out, Dr. Sharpton, if he is not voted out of the most powerful office on the planet, this United States of America, that we all love so dearly, will vanish from the powers of the earth. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that is a challenge that we should bring into the weekend. It is not what you say. It is not what you can quote. It's what you do. That's why 35 years ago, when we started our organization, we called it the National Action Network. And action is the real interpreter of who you are and what your value is to the cause. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in, listened in, and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Let me thank Reverend Charles Williams. Let me thank Reverend Rudolph, Reverend and Ashley Sharpton. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.